This is Blissful Journey. There is a kind of hurt that never leaves a mark. No one sees it. No one would believe it if you tried to explain. But you feel it. Hours later. In the quiet, when the room is finally empty, and the words they said are still sitting on your chest like a stone you cannot put down. Someone disrespected you today. Maybe it was small. A tone. A look. A remark in front of other people. Maybe it was the way they cut you off before you finished speaking, as if your words were not worth waiting for. And maybe you smiled and let it pass and told yourself it did not matter. But it followed you home. It always does. And here is the part that hurts the most. You are not 20 anymore. You have lived. You have worked. You have given more than anyone ever stopped to thank you for. You have held this family together, carried this job, shown up for people who would not have shown up for you. So when someone treats you as less than you are, it does not just sting. It feels like a verdict on everything you have been. As if all those years, all that quiet effort, somehow added up to nothing. I want you to know something before we go any further. That feeling is not weakness. It is not you being too sensitive, the way they probably told you. It is the very normal pain of a person who has given a great deal and is tired of being treated as though they gave nothing. Tonight, I want to give you something that took humanity 25 centuries to learn. A way to set that stone down, not by fighting back, not by growing cold and hard and closed, but by understanding one quiet truth that the wisest people who ever lived all arrived at, sooner or later, usually after years of carrying far too much. Stay with me to the end, because by the time we are done, the next person who tries to take your peace is going to reach for it and find that there is nothing left for them to grab. Let us begin with what really happens inside you, in the very moment it lands. When someone disrespects you, your body answers long before your mind gets a say. Your chest tightens. Your face goes warm. Your stomach drops a little. And a voice starts up in your head, fast and insistent, rehearsing what you should have said, what you will say next time, who they think they are to speak to you that way. There is a name for this. Psychologists call it an ego threat. In plain words, the sense of who you are just got challenged out loud, often in front of others. And the oldest, most primitive part of your brain cannot tell the difference between an insult and a physical attack. To that ancient part of you, being disrespected in front of the group once meant being pushed out of the group. And being pushed out thousands of years ago meant death. So your body floods with the same alarm it would feel facing a real threat. And it does the only thing it knows how to do. It defends. This is why you cannot simply tell yourself to calm down and have it work. You are not fighting a thought. You are fighting biology. And that matters because it means the goal was never to feel nothing. The goal is to know what to do with the feeling once it arrives. So look closely with me at what defending actually costs you. You react, and now you are tense for the rest of the hour. You react, and now you lie awake at midnight, replaying it, building the perfect comeback you will never get to use. You react, and a remark that lasted 5 seconds quietly moves into your home and lives there for 5 days. They spent one breath on you, and you handed them 5 days of your life in return. That is the trap that almost no one ever sees. The disrespect did not steal your peace. Your reaction did. The other person only opened the door. But you were the one who walked through it, again and again, replaying it long after they had forgotten you ever existed. While you lay awake, they slept just fine. That is the cruel arithmetic of it. The one who is hurt the most by your anger is almost always you. Now let me tell you the story that changes everything. It is very old, and it is very simple, and once you truly understand it, you cannot unhear it. 25 centuries ago, a man walked up to the Buddha and insulted him to his face. He was furious. We do not know why. Maybe he was jealous. Maybe he was simply a man in pain, the way people in pain so often are. He shouted. He reached for every cruel word he could find. and he threw all of them. The Buddha said nothing. He did not argue. He did not defend himself. He did not even look offended. He simply waited, gently, with patience, until the man had emptied himself of every last word and stood there, breathing hard, with nothing left to say. And then the Buddha asked him one quiet question. He said, "Tell me, if you offer someone a gift and they choose not to accept it, who does the gift then belong to?" The man, thrown off, answered without thinking. "Well," he said, "it still belongs to me. I offered it, but it was refused. So of course it is still mine." And the Buddha nodded and said, "Yes, it is exactly the same with your anger. You came here today to give me your insults, but I have chosen not to accept them, and so they remain with you. You are the one who will carry them home tonight. Not me. Sit with that for a moment. Let it really reach you. An insult is only yours the moment you reach out and pick it up. If you never reach for it, it stays exactly where it began, in the hands of the person who threw it. They can hold it out to you all day long, but a gift held out and never taken belongs, in the end, only to the one still holding it. This is not a pretty saying to hang on a wall. It is the most precise piece of psychology you will ever hear. Every insult is an offer, and every reaction, every defense, every sleepless replay at midnight is you stepping forward and signing for the delivery. The package was never yours until you accepted it. Now, most people, when they first hear this, get afraid. They think it means standing there and swallowing it, smiling politely while you quietly bleed, becoming a doormat in the name of being wise. No, that is not what this is. And the difference between the two is the difference between freedom and a slow, silent wound. So listen carefully, because this is where almost everyone gets it wrong. There is a world of difference between silence and suppression. Suppression is when you say nothing on the outside, but on the inside you are on fire. You smile, you nod, you keep your face calm, and then you carry the insult home, where it poisons your dinner, your evening, your sleep, and slowly, over years, the way you see yourself. That is not peace. That is a wound dressed up as patience. And if that is the only silence you know, then staying quiet really will destroy you. The people who say just ignore it have usually never understood this difference, which is why their advice never works. Real silence is something else entirely. Real silence is when you genuinely do not accept the gift, when the insult reaches you, and you look at it honestly, and you make a choice. You say to yourself, "This says far more about them than it could ever say about me, and I will not carry what was never mine to begin with." From the outside, the two look identical. Both are quiet. Both keep their composure. But on the inside, they are complete opposites. One is slowly eating you alive. The other is quietly setting you free. So understand this. The work was never about your face. It was never about looking calm for other people to admire. The real work happens somewhere no one can see, in a single half-second. The half-second where you decide not to bend down and pick up what they dropped at your feet. And here is what that calm, real silence says to a room that no sharp reply ever could. The person who explains themselves is asking to be understood. The person who defends themselves is admitting, without meaning to, that the blow landed. But the person who stays still and unbothered and says nothing is telling everyone watching one simple thing. Your opinion of me does not reach the place where I actually live. That is power, not the loud kind, not the kind that needs the last word or the clever comeback. The quiet kind that no one can argue with, because there is nothing to argue against. You have felt this power before, in someone else. Think of the most respected person you have ever known in your life. They did not shout. They did not chase. They did not scramble to defend themselves every time someone tested them. They were calm in the exact moment everyone expected them to break. And that calm was not luck, and it was not something they were simply born with. It was a choice made quietly, over and over, until it became who they were. And it is a choice you can learn to make too. starting tonight. So how do you actually build this? Because it is built. No one comes into the world this steady. It is a muscle, and right now, if you have spent your life reacting, that muscle is simply untrained. That is all, not broken, untrained. Start with one single sentence. The next time someone disrespects you, before you say one word, before you even decide how you feel, ask yourself this quietly: is this mine to carry? And almost every single time, if you are honest, the answer is no. Their rudeness is their burden. Their bitterness is their story, written long before they ever met you. And their need to make you feel small is the clearest proof there, is that somewhere inside, they already feel small themselves. Remember this, because it will change how you see people forever. A person who is genuinely at peace does not walk around handing out wounds. They have no need to. Only the hurting throw hurt. The cruelty that comes at you is almost never really about you. It is the overflow of a pain you cannot see, looking for somewhere to land. So when it happens, you pause. Just for a breath. You let the silence sit there, unbothered, unhurried. You ask your question: is this mine to carry? And you remember something you have earned the hard way, over all these years, that a younger person simply does not have yet. You have lived long enough to know the difference between something that truly matters and something that merely wants a reaction. And most disrespect, when you look at it clearly, only wants a reaction. It is fishing. It throws out the hook and waits to see if you will bite. So do not bite. Give it nothing. Not out of fear. Not out of weakness. But because you have finally understood, after all this time, exactly what your piece is worth, and you are no longer willing to sell it so cheaply. Let me walk you through how this looks in a real moment, so it is not just an idea. Imagine you are at a family gathering. Someone you love, maybe a grown child, maybe a sibling, says something sharp. Something that lands in front of everyone. The old you would feel the heat rise, would defend, would explain, and would carry it home and turn it over for a week. But tonight, you feel the heat rise and you simply notice it. You take one breath. You ask, quietly inside, is this mine to carry? And you realize, no. This is their bad mood, their old wound, their bad day. It is not a true thing about me. So you let it pass over you like weather. You stay warm. You stay kind. You do not give them the reaction they were unconsciously fishing for. And here is what is strange and wonderful. 9 times out of 10, the person feels it. They feel that their hook found no fish, and something in them quietly settles. You did not win an argument. You did something far better. You refused to have one. If all of this is landing a little too close tonight, that is not an accident. It probably means you have spent years reacting, defending yourself, explaining yourself to people who had already decided not to understand, replaying conversations at midnight, carrying gift after gift that was never meant to be yours, until your arms were so full you forgot what it felt like to walk through the world unburdened. That is not a flaw in you. No one ever taught you this. We were all raised to believe that letting an insult pass means letting them win. That silence is surrender. But it is the exact opposite. Every single time you stay truly calm, you quietly keep something they were trying to take from you. And the more you practice it, the lighter you become. Not colder, not harder, lighter. Here is what changes. Once you truly begin to live this way, the same people who used to be able to ruin your entire day slowly lose their grip on you. A comment that once cost you a week begins to cost you nothing at all. You start walking out of rooms that you used to carry home with you for years. You sleep better. You soften in the places that matter because you are no longer spending all your strength defending the gate. And little by little, the people around you begin to notice something they cannot quite put into words. That you cannot be moved. That you have a center they cannot reach. They come to respect the person who does not flinch. Not because you fought them, but because you never needed to. That is the freedom the Buddha was pointing at All those centuries ago, to an angry man who came to wound him and left carrying his own anger home. It was never silence as defeat. It was silence as the ownership of your own mind. The deepest power a human being can hold. The power to decide what is allowed to touch you, and what is not. You have carried so much already. You have accepted so many gifts that were never yours for so many years. Tonight, you can begin gently to set them down, one by one, starting with the next one someone tries to hand you. So the next time someone offers you their disrespect, remember the question: is this mine to carry? And if it is not, and it almost never is, then leave it, calmly, right there in the hands of the one who brought it. Let them carry it home. You have carried more than enough for one lifetime. If this gave you something tonight, stay with me. Subscribe and walk this path alongside me. Every week, we sit together with the quiet psychology of staying whole and staying kind in a loud and careless world. Be still, be free, and guard your peace like the rare and precious thing it truly is. This is Blissful Journey.